Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss on the chapter Human Reproduction Part 4. In that we are going to discuss on the concept oogenesis, which comes under gametogenesis. So let us know first about what is oogenesis. It is the process of formation of haploid ovum from diploid oogonia. Here the haploid ovum is nothing but the female gamete and the diploid oogonia is nothing but the female gamete mother cell, okay, inside the ovary. So here the oogonia which plays a very important role in the formation of or which gives a birth for the female gamete from a single oogonia cell or the oogonium cell inside the ovary, that it completes the process of the oogenesis. Okay. In the next part, from which part the oogenesis process is going to take place in the female reproductive system. So in the female, if you see, it begins at the embryonic development. So before going with the detailed study of an embryonic development, so the embryonic development inside the female ovary, so let us know about the structure of the ovary. Okay. So this is the structure, follicular development of follicles in the ovary. So we can see here the ovary is covered with layers, so that layers are known as one is a germinal epithelium wall and another one is a just it is beneath the layer of the germinal epithelium, that is the tunica albuginea. Okay. Along with that there are some connective tissue also, and loose connective tissues are also formed, and also stroma is present. The stroma is consist of the inner portion is the medulla and the outer portion is known as a cortex. Okay. So this cortex part which is going to differentiate the stages, like the cortex is made up of the reticular connective tissue and the medulla is made up of the areolar connective tissue. Okay. So this is the medullary part. And also in the cortex region we can see that there are the various stages of the follicular cells development here, that is the primary, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and the Graafian follicle structures are observed here. And this primary follicle here, every month one primary follicle is going to get matured into a Graafian follicle. So this is the one primary follicle which is going to get matured into an Graafian follicle cell for a 1 month. Okay. So like this the process is taking place inside the cortex region of the ovary. Okay. So next we will go about the study of how the oogenesis process is taking place inside the embryonic stage in the female. Okay. So the oogonia, it is the gamete mother cell that is in the diploid number of the chromosome. So at the birth time, at the birth time of the female, the many millions of the primary oocytes are present in the fetal ovary. So let us see about that. So there are some interesting things are seen in the human female, and we'll talk about that first. So in the first month of the gestation period, means when the female embryo developing in the mother womb, that is known as a gestation, and so that is a fetus. In first month old, that is a 1 month old of the fetus, it has a 1700 primary follicles are going to observe in the ovary, and now these primary follicles are undergoing for the proliferative and some multiplying, and these number will go on increases. And so in this, what happens in the second month of an fetal or the embryonic life, these numbers are going to increase and dividing itself and forms 6 lakhs of the number of primary follicle cells, and again in this fetus is growing on, and then it comes into a fifth month of the embryonic life, and it reaches to the millions of million numbers of primary follicle cells. So after this after the some period, what happens? So some of the primary follicles were undergoes atresia, where the cell death we are telling, okay, atresia. The atresia is nothing but the shrinking of the follicle cells, okay. So what happens to the next stage? At the birth time, its ovaries have remains only 2 millions primary follicles are going to form, and it means that after the birth no any new follicle cells are going to form, no any new primary follicle cells are going to form, okay. So this process is continued till puberty, okay. In the female, so till puberty would have a 60,000 to 80,000 number in each of the ovary are going to remain, and among that out of these, the 450 primary follicles, in that only one is going to develop into an egg for every month. Like this, in the embryonic stage, the ovary, how the follicular development is taking place. So here we'll see about the primary follicle, how the development of the primary follicle is taking place. So in the primary follicle, if you see, let us know first what is the primary follicle and the primary oocyte. Here this is the structure of the primary. Here you can see here the primary follicle cells, okay. So many primary follicles are here, which you can observe in this picture. So these primary follicles at the embryonic stage, they go on increasing in the number by the proliferation or the multiplication, okay, function. So when it reaches to the birth, what happens? Some restricted amount of the primary follicles are going to stay, and after the birth, what happens? No any new follicle cells are going to form, that is cleared here. So what happens in the primary follicle when after the birth till the puberty? What is the function? Okay, in the primary follicle, how the follicular development is taking place, let us see. So in the primary follicle, if you see, this is the primary follicle cell, you can see, and where is the primary oocyte? Inside the follicle cell. Okay, so this is the primary oocyte, and this primary oocyte is covered with the follicle cell, that is the primary follicle cell, and this primary oocyte is formed with the zona pellucida, and also here you can see the primary oocyte, which is the located inside the primary follicle, and this follicle is covered with the thin layer thin layer which is surrounded that oocyte and enlarges and undergoes for the dividing of the cells. And you can see here the granulosa cells which are surrounded the follicle cells, and also here you will see there is a basement membrane. So this is what observed in the primary follicle, and inside there is a primary oocyte, okay. Now it's clear. And what changes will be happens here in the granulosa cells, where the several layers are formed around the follicle cells, those are the granulosa cells, okay. So those granulosa cells are changes, some changes will be happens. So why? Because due to the secretion of gonadotropin hormone, that is the FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, which is secreted from an pituitary gland, that is the anterior pituitary. So this this hormone is also known as a gonadotropin hormone, okay. So due to this secretion of the FSH, there are some changes are going to formed in the follicle cell development, okay. So one thing we have to understand here, at the primary follicle cell, that is the primary oocyte which is present in the primary follicle, at this stage what happens? The complete oogenesis process is undergoing with the two cyclical process. One is the meiosis 1 and the meiosis 2, and also the mitosis is also taking place. So in the meiosis 1, when the meiosis 1 is taking place here, when the primary follicle cell is formed at this stage, what happens, the meiosis 1 is taking place. Okay, so this in the meiosis 1, in that the prophase 1 of this meiotic division, the primary follicle cell is going to arrested for a temporarily. Okay, so at this temporarily arrested primary follicle will be going to complete its meiotic 1 division when it reaches to the puberty, that is in the tertiary follicle stage. Okay, when it reaches to the maturation stage, when it reaches to the puberty stage. Got that? So the next is the secondary follicle. So secondary follicle, so if you see the first, that is the primary follicle, again we will show here the diagram of the primary follicle. And if you see here the primary follicle is, will recall once again that there the slightly the development of the granulosa cells are going to form, and also you will see there is a several layers are going to develop around that oocyte, and there is a thecal formation is also developing, and inside there is a oocyte, which is the primary oocyte is developed. Okay, so what happens to the next in the secondary oocyte? So here some changes will be happens from the primary to the secondary when the wall of the follicle thickens, and also the cell will be begins to secrete the follicular fluid. Okay, so here we will see that in the secondary follicle the wall of this follicle is going on thickens. Okay, here the granulosa cell membrane is going on increasing, and the several layers are going to form at surrounding of this oocyte. This is the oocyte of this surrounded with an granulosa cell membrane with the granulosa cells, that is the follicle cells are developed. Along with that there is a some fluid filled follicular fluid is also going to secrete in the small space, that is in the cavity. So this is the initial period where the small amount of liquor folliculi, that is the follicular fluid, is secreting in the antrum space. This space is known as the antrum space. Okay, so in this phase what happens, the small amount of fluid is secreting, that is the liquor folliculi, and it accumulates in the very small space. Okay, so and also we will see here there is a development of an thecal layers, that is the theca externa and theca interna. So this is the secondary follicle structure. If you see the same follicle structure here, we can see here the structure, which is this picture has been taken by a microscope. In the, if you see the same structure in the microscope, you will see the structure like this. Here you will see there is a oocyte formation, that is the primary oocyte, and also you will see this very small space, that is the antrum space, which is filled with a fluid cavity. And also at the edge you can see here the granulosa cells development, and also the thecal layer formation also you will observe. So this is how the secondary follicle development is taking place. Okay, so one thing we have to remember here, in the first primary follicle we observed that the primary follicle has arrested in the meiosis division, that is in the meiosis 1 in the prophase 1 stage, and it will complete its meiosis 1 division when it reaches to maturation phase, that is in the puberty stage. Okay, so from that position to the next up to the tertiary follicle development, so what happens here, the only the cells, the outermost layer of the cells will be getting enlarges, and the growth will be taking place, but inside the oocyte will be remains as the primary oocyte only. Okay, because of the meiosis 1, that is the prophase 1, is arrested in that phase. When the same cell, that is the secondary follicle cell, is turned into the tertiary follicle cell, so in that the tertiary follicle is nothing but this is the complete matured follicle we are telling. So when this follicle is starts developing after the secondary follicle, then we will see here the complete development of the thecal formation, the external theca and the internal theca development will be observed. Here the thecal formation will be observed, and the ovum inside the oocyte, the surrounded with some corona radiata, and also the oophorus, cumulus oophorus is observed, and also the some follicular cells development will be observed at the surrounding, and there is a largest space cavity is formed, that is known as the antrum space, and it is filled with an follicular fluid. It is all that follicular fluid is known as the liquor folliculi. Okay, and what happens in this tertiary follicle structure? Okay, so this primary oocyte within the follicle, the what happens, the primary oocyte within this follicle size will be increases, and the first meiotic division it undergoes, it completes its first meiotic division when it reaches to the tertiary follicle. Just before I said that when it reaches to the puberty, when it reaches to the maturation stage, that time, that is in the tertiary follicle stage, that time that meiosis 1 stage which is initially arrested, so that will be going to complete its meiotic 1 division in the tertiary follicle stage. And what happens next? This first meiotic division is going to complete and forms unequal large haploid secondary oocyte. Okay, here the unequal large secondary oocyte, and one will be the first polar body. Here the total 2 cells are going to divide. One will be the unequal, which is the partially the cytoplasm is going to divide into the 2 cells, and in one cell there is a bulk amount of, there will be a more amount of the cytoplasma is going to form, that is the haploid secondary oocyte, which is the largest cell, and another one cell will be the very small cell, which is a very less amount of the cytoplasma is accumulated in that, so that is the first polar body. So this is how the changes will be observed from the one primary follicle to the tertiary follicle. Now we'll go with the study of how the tertiary follicle is going to form into an Graafian follicle. Okay, so in the tertiary follicle, if you see, their meiotic division is completed, right, which is arrested in the first primary follicle cell, that is completed, that arrested meiosis 1 is going to complete its cycle, complete its meiotic 1 division when it comes to the maturation stage, that is in the tertiary follicle stage, right. So what happens inside that oocyte is getting changed into the secondary oocyte, right. So till then it will, when it reaches till it reaches to the puberty, it will be remains as a primary oocyte only. When it reaches to the tertiary follicle, then it completes its meiotic division and it converts into a, or it will going to divide into a secondary oocyte and one polar body, that is the primary polar body. Okay, so now we'll see that the secondary oocyte, which is very rich in the nutrient cytoplasm and of the primary oocyte, which is retains that nutrient rich cytoplasma of the primary oocyte, and also here the tertiary follicle, which is going to develop into an Graafian follicle cell, which is a matured Graafian follicle cell, we can tell. So how that Graafian follicle will be formed and what is that structure, let us know that now. Okay, so structure of matured Graafian follicle. So if you see the diagram here, the structure of the Graafian follicle, so in this structure you can see here there are the development of the thecal formation, and it is in the shape of the spherical to oval in the shape, and also you will see the wall of this Graafian follicle is made up of the thecal folliculi or the thecal layer we can call. One is the theca externa, and another one is the theca interna. Okay, so what is this theca externa and theca interna? So this theca externa is containing connective tissue and fibers. Okay, this connective tissue and fibers is formed with fibers, and the theca interna, which is very vascular and glandular in the nature. Interna is formed with the theca interna is formed with the very vascular in the structure and also the glandular in the cells. Okay, glandular in the nature. And these cells of the theca interna is going to secrete estrogen and progesterone hormone. Okay, and the inner theca interna are having a 3 layers of granulosa cell layers. Okay, so these granulosa cell layers which are appearing like a membrane is called as membrana granulosa, is known as a membrana granulosa, and this membrana granulosa are encloses a large central cavity which is known as a antrum, and this antrum is filled with the fluid that is known as, this is the antrum which is filled with the fluid is known as a liquor folliculi, which contains the estrogen, which is an hormone estrogen. Okay, and then what happens here, there is a mound of the cells here in the shape which is the membrana granulosa is a heap or the mound shape of the cells which are arranged just edge of this oocyte and the the thecal layer, in between these two, thecal layer and the oocyte. So this is known as the cumulus oophorus, Okay, this cumulus oophorus is also is the egg proper, is known as the egg proper. And and also this cumulus oophorus is also known as a discus proligerus. It is known as a discus proligerus. Okay, so this is all about the structure of a matured Graafian follicle. Okay, so when this Graafian follicle is taking place, this is the matured Graafian follicle is taking place, then soon after this matured Graafian follicle is going to rupture, and then it is going to release the ovum where the ovulation is taking place. That concept we'll study in the next slide. Okay, let us take one summary of the follicular phase, that is the ovarian cycle. So here you will see the, I will repeat once again few points about these all follicle cell development. So here the primary oocytes, here the you can see the primary follicle cells which are here, and later what happens, the primary follicle cell is going to develop and forming a thin layer at surrounding of its follicle cell, that is the granulosa cells are going to form, and also some changes are going to take place are occurring in the formation of the granulosa cells around the primary oocyte due to the FSH, that is the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, these are the gonadotrophin hormone, and inside there is a primary oocyte. Okay, here inside the primary oocyte which is surrounding the primary follicle, which is surrounded with the primary follicle. Okay, and also it is forming slowly, it is developing the thecal cells formation. Okay, so and the next what happens at the stage of the at the beginning of the formation of the antrum, when the primary oocyte is slowly reach to the next stage, then there is a slight small development, that is the beginning initial development of the antrum space is going to form. So this antrum phase is filled with a liquor folliculi fluid, which is a follicular fluid which is filled in the antrum space. Okay, it is very initial space. Actually this is the, in this stage we will not see the complete the large space of the cavity, it's a very small space cavity we will see in this stage. Okay, and the next, if you see the secondary follicle stage, In that we can see here the largest follicle, that is in the secondary follicle, the largest space, and also we will see here the thecal formation, that is the externa and the internal thecal formation, and the granulosa cells which are surrounding the follicular cells, granulosa membrane formation also we will see slight development, and the antrum space is also observed, and the zona pellucida which is surrounded the ovum inside, that is in the oocyte, will also observed. So like this the primary oocyte will be remains the same from the first stage till to the secondary follicle. Okay, this point I already said in the previous slides. Okay, so this in this stage what happens, the primary oocyte will be remain same. Then what happens when it reaches to the matured follicle stage, that is in the Graafian follicle stage, at this stage what happens, it is the puberty stage, or it will be in the maturation phase. Okay, so what happens here, the secondary follicle is undergoes with the formation of the tertiary follicle. The tertiary follicle is also known as a Graafian follicle development, and this is a matured follicle. We'll see here the antrum space is very larger, where the ovarian surface is covered at the outer wall, and here the inside you will see there is a secondary oocyte. There is a small space of which is connected the edge of the oocyte and the granulosa thecal layer, that is the cumulus oophorus layer, and then we will see here some granulosa membrane formation, thecal formation around the complete follicular cell. Like this the structure is getting changed at the maturation stage. So what happens here, from first primary oocyte or the primary follicle to the next up to the secondary, we are seeing only the primary oocyte development. Okay, when this same stage is entered into an maturation stage, what happens, this primary oocyte is going to form into a secondary oocyte, and here when the secondary oocyte is going to form at the maturation stage. Okay, that's why I already said in the previous slide that when the primary stage, at the primary follicle stage, it will be the meiosis 1 is taking place, and in that meiosis 1, the prophase 1 stage, that primary follicle is going to arrested at the temporary base, and then what happens, it will be paused for a short time, and then later what happens, when it reaches to the puberty, that is in this stage. Okay, it will restarts its function, that is the meiosis 1 function will be completes in this stage, and it will forms one secondary oocyte and another one primary polar body is going to form, and one will be the larger size of the cell which is the secondary oocyte cell, and another one is the small polar body is going to form in this stage, that is the reductional cell division is taking place, where the n number of the cells are taking place. And what happens the next of the Graafian follicle cell? So after the matured Graafian follicle, the next stage will be the ovulation stage, where we will see that the rupture of the Graafian follicle cell is going to release the ovum outside, and also along with that what happens, this the cumulus oophorus which ruptures here, this cumulus oophorus is going to ruptures, and then ovum is going to release out, that is the secondary oocyte, that is the ovum. Okay, so after this ovulation, the empty Graafian follicle is going to remain. After this complete ovulation, what happens, this empty Graafian follicle is going to remain with some amount of the granules. Okay, some amount of some amount of the granules are going to remain, and some blood vessels are also getting ruptured in this case, and the antrum of the collapsed follicles are going to, at the antrum of the space, that collapsed follicles are going to filled with the partially clotted fluid, that is the blood, is going to clot at this stage, that is known as a corpus hemorrhagica, and then later what happens, this stage follicle cells are going to enlarge and the yellow pigmentation is going to form. That pigment is known as the lutein, and it forming the yellow body formation, that is known as the corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum is going to secrete the hormone, that is the progesterone hormone. So one thing here we have to understand, in the ovulation, at the 14th day of the period, at the 28 days of the period cycle, so at the day of the 14th, the LH surge, the ovulation is taking place, in which the increasing the LH luteinizing hormone is going to increase in the peak level. So that time what happens, the ovulation is going to takes place. Okay, that is in the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. So and later what happens, after the ovulation, it forms the corpus luteum, and then corpus luteum is going to secrete the hormone, which is the progesterone hormone. Okay, and it acts like a temporarily endocrine gland because it's secreting the progesterone hormone. So if fertilization takes place, this is going to persist. If there is no any fertilization, then the corpus luteum is going to degenerate into a corpus albicans. Okay, so this is the corpus albicans. So this is also known as a white body. So here the corpus luteum is known as a yellow body, and this is known as a white body. And so we see various changes in the ovarian follicle, but a period of 28th to 30th day, one egg is going to released, and one primary follicle is going to develop into a Graafian follicle for every month. So this is all about the study of the development of the follicles in the ovary. So in the next process, we'll go with the study of the detailed study of the oogenesis. Okay, so what is the oogenesis? We already got the definition of the oogenesis. Once again we'll recall that the same definition here: the process of formation of the haploid female gamete ovum in the follicles of the ovary. Okay, so here it consists of the three phases. One is the multiplication phase, another one is the growth phase, and the last one is the maturation phase. So let us see first what is the multiplication phase. So in the multiplication phase, the oogenesis starts during the embryonic stage. We already discussed that at the embryonic stage what happens, the oogenesis starts. If you see in the spermatogenesis, like very similar in the oogenesis also, the spermatogenesis is derived from the sperm and the oogenesis is derived from the ovum. And in the female gamete, ovum is formed inside the ovary, and the question is when the process of oogenesis starts. So in the spermatogenesis we saw that it starts at the puberty stage. Okay, so in case of oogenesis, there is a surprising fact is that it starts at the embryonic stage, even before the girl is born or at the fetal stage. And the process of this oogenesis starts, and it was in the pause mode for a long time, and until the girl reaches for the puberty, that is at the age of 13 or to 15 of the age of the puberty age. Till then what happens, this oogenesis will become at the pause mode. Okay, so next, what is the oogenesis here? The oogenesis is playing very important role, that is the oogonia is plays an oogonia is going to form an oogonia is nothing but the female gamete mother cell, and this female gamete mother cell is going to give a birth for the female gamete, and this gamete mother cell is in the form of diploid set of the number, and which is going to give a birth for the female gamete, that is in the haploid set of chromosome, which is the ovum. Okay, so which plays very important role in the oogenesis process. So now we'll see the how the oogonia formed and how the oogonia gives rise to a egg cells. Okay, so now we'll talk about the process of oogenesis. So in the oogenesis, what happens? The gamete mother cell. Okay, so the gamete mother cell, what happened? So here are formed inside the fetal ovary itself and remains the same, and there is no any more oogonia are newly born are going to newly add to the in the female organ, female ovary. Okay, so this female oogonia at the fetal ovary, when it enters to the fetal ovary, into fetal ovary, that time the primary oocyte is going to form. So here we'll see that the oogonia is going to multiply with a mitotic division and forming a primary oocyte. Here you can see the mitotic division function, and it is forming the primary oocyte, which is in the diploid 2n number. At the side by side you can see the follicular development also, how the follicle development of the follicle development is taking in the ovary. So when it reaches to the growth, okay, so the same primary oocyte is going to arrested in the prophase 1, which is present at the birth. Okay, so in the primary oocyte, we already taken this point repeatedly in the previous slides while explaining, so that the same thing here also we are saying again by showing the diagrammatic part here. So the primary oocyte is going to arrested in the prophase 1 of the meiosis, in the prophase 1 stage of the meiotic 1 division at present at the birth. Okay, so this will be occur only at before the birth stage, this portion. Okay, so and what happens next? So that primary oocyte, the later gradually that oocyte starts to developing, and layer of its cells will be surrounding the oocyte, that will be forming a follicle cell. Okay, and then what happens? The structure is known as a primary follicle, and this kind of the primary follicle will be become several structures are formed inside the ovary. So when are these formation taking place? At the arrested period. We have to understand here when are these development of the follicle cells are taking place? Only at the arrested period. But here the oocyte will be never get changed, it will be remains as a primary oocyte only the follicular development is going to change. Okay, so many of these primary follicles are undergoing for the degenerating as well as by the atresia, that is the death of the cell. And what happens the next? The more number, the next what happens? The more layer of the cells are formed and surrounding the follicle cells, that forms the secondary follicle, and inside the same the primary oocyte will be going to remain, and each month from puberty to menopause, when it reaches to the complete at the stage of the growth phase, the growth will be taking place in the follicle cells. Secondary oocyte is going to get formed by the primary follicle, but what happens? The oocyte will be remain same as the primary oocyte only. Okay, so and again over the period of time, the layer of follicle cell increases more and more, and it starts to develop a tertiary follicle. That is here the tertiary follicle is going to form. Okay, that is nothing but it reaches slowly to the primary follicle, primary oocyte, that is primary follicle slowly is reaches to the maturation period. So that is in the multiplication, slowly it is going to reaches to the growth phase. Already observed that in the growth phase we are seeing that undergoes growth, increasing in the cytoplasma also, and some yolk is going to transfer to the enlarged oogonia, that is the primary oocyte and all. And also when it reaches to the maturation phase, what happens here? Still apart from the tertiary follicle inside the cell, there is a fluid filled cavity, that is the antrum space. Here you can see there is a fluid filled cavity, that is the antrum space, we already discussed that. So when it reaches to the that same the secondary that primary oocyte when reaches to the stage of the maturation phase, what happens here? The fully grown primary oocyte, which is undergoes a meiotic 1 division, and it completes it at the initial stage it is arrested in the meiotic 1 prophase 1 stage. When it reaches to the maturation phase, what happened? It will undergo the meiotic 1 division and completes its process, and it forms the unequal size of, okay. So meiosis 1 it completes when it completes, it forms unequal size of the two cells. One will be the larger size, another one will be the smaller size, and the large size is known as a secondary oocyte and the small cell is known as a polar body, that is the primary polar body or the first polar body, okay. So later what happens? The secondary oocyte again it undergoes meiotic 2 division, okay, for a large ooted formation, ovum and a large ooted formation, and also the small cell, that is the second polar body. So what happens here in this process? Let us see. So in this process what happens? The further when the secondary oocyte undergoes the division, that is in the meiotic 2 division, it undergoes within a meiotic 2 division, and at this stage what happens? It is going to arrest in the metaphase 2. In the meiosis 2, in the metaphase 2 stage, it is going to arrest the secondary oocyte. So when it arresting at this stage, what happens? So this will be the discontinuous of the oogenesis process. So this is the discontinuous of the oogenesis process. So what happens to the next of this secondary oocyte when it is arrested in the metaphase? So when it is arrested in the metaphase stage, it at the secondary oocyte stage, it completes the first meiosis but not yet complete the second meiosis. Therefore, only the first polar body has been expelled and the second division though started is arrested. So this is the discontinued at the metaphase, and it will be completes only when the sperm is going to penetrate it during the fertilization. Here you can see in the picture. So this is the secondary oocyte. So when it is going to complete its metaphase stage, when the sperm is going to enter inside the ovum, right? So that ovum, when the fusion of the male and the female gamete is taking place and it undergoes the fertilization function, that time only it forms only at that time it completes its meiosis 2 division, and that is in the metaphase 2 complete its division in the meiosis 2, and only if the sperm is going to penetrate and the fertilization is taking place, and then that it forms a zygote. Then zygote is going to implant in the endometrium wall of the uterus, and then the development of the embryo is taking place. So one more thing we have to understand, that if in case in the first polar body, if it doesn't got into a degenerated part, then it also undergoes with a meiosis 2 of the polar body, and it occurs into, again it also going to divide into a 2 polar bodies, that is known as a secondary 2 polar bodies. Here we have to see that there are the total, here the total here the total 4 haploid cell of the cells are going to form in the oogenesis process. In that, 3 will be considered as a polar bodies and one will be considered as a ooted or the ovum. Okay, these polar bodies are in the non-functional form, and that ooted is in the functional form of the cell. So this is all about the oogenesis process. So let us see here. From one oogonium, one ovum and 3 polar bodies are formed. Here from the one oogonium, one ovum is formed and 3 polar bodies are formed. And here one ovum will be go for the functional stage, and these 3 polar bodies are going for the non-functional body. Okay, and secondary oocyte is released from the tertiary follicle, that is ovulation is taking place. This is the Graafian follicle structure, which is known as the tertiary follicle also, that is the matured follicle also. Here the ovulation is taking place. Once the ovulation is taking place, then what happens? The secondary oocyte is going to release out from this Graafian follicle cell, that is the matured Graafian follicle cell, and this secondary oocyte is going to arrested at the metaphase in meiosis II division. So next what happens? If the sperm does not penetrate the secondary oocyte, it will quickly complete. If sperm does penetrate the secondary oocyte, it will quickly complete the meiosis II and producing ovum and the secondary polar body. So here it is the one structure has given here. So you can understand clearly here the secondary oocyte which is arrested at the metaphase II. Okay, that is in the meiosis II stage. So once the fertilization taking place, then this undergoes, it completes its meiosis II function, and then the completion of the meiosis, what happens here? The fertilization is taking place, the ovum, the egg and the sperm are going to fuse to one another and fertilization is taking place. So this is the fertilized egg, and here we will see that the second polar body. Okay, in the first polar body, if it is not degenerated, then it is also undergoing with an meiotic II division and it forms 2 polar bodies. Here we'll see that the 3 polar bodies non-functional in the form, and the one oocyte is formed, that is going to form into a functional. Okay, so this is all about the oogenesis process. Hope you all understood this concept. So the next one is structure of ovum. So in the structure of ovum, let us see how the ovum is formed and what all the parts are there in the ovum. So in this structure of the ovum, so we'll see it is in the spherical in the shape, and egg cell is formed by the formed by ova is some formed by the corona radiata, zona pellucida and vitelline membrane and germinal vesicle, germinal spot and ooplasm. Okay, so we'll study one by one what all these parts are indicating. Okay, so ova are produced by the ovary and released from the ovum from the ovary, and the ovulation is nothing but the ovum is entered into the fallopian. After the ovulation, what happens? This ovum is going to enter into the fallopian tube, into fallopian tube, and then the human fallopian tube, and then slowly it is going to reach into the ampullary region, ampulla part, and then if the fertilization is taking place, then the implantation is going to takes place in the endometrium wall of the stages will be goes on changing, and then it is going to form in a zygote. Okay, so here in the secondary oocyte stage, so the human egg is a spherical and is at a secondary oocyte stage. So in this how the egg or the ovum looks. Let us understand the structure of the ovum and detail about that, and basically has a following some important layers are formed in that. So just now we have seen that the corona radiata, zona pellucida, vitelline membrane, germinal vesicle, germinal spot and ooplasm. Okay, so we'll study one by one now. So what is this corona radiata? So the corona radiata is composed of the granulosa cells. Okay, here you can see the corona radiata. This is formed within some granulosa cells, and these granulosa cells are formed by 2 to 3 layer cells which are attached to the zona pellucida. these corona radiata cells, these granulosa cells are going to attach with a zona pellucida cells. Okay, and also you will see here these are going to supply the vital proteins to the cell like a nutrients and nourishment which is provided by the corona radiata. Okay, so this is what about the corona radiata. And the next one is the zona pellucida. So zona pellucida is a thick membrane and exists for the post fertilization. Here it is a zona pellucida which is a very thick membrane and it is exist for the post fertilization, and also the inner to the corona radiata. It is a very inner part of the corona radiata, inner to the part of the corona radiata and zona pellucida. So and what is inside the zona pellucida? There is a vitelline membrane and sometimes the space between this vitelline membrane. Okay, here it is a vitelline membrane, you can see. So in the zona pellucida there is very attached with that very small space in between this vitelline membrane is called as a perivitelline. So this called as a perivitelline membrane. Okay, and is a perivitelline membrane, and outer it also protects, it also acts like a protecting layer. This is the outer protective layer. Okay, so what about the next layer, that is the vitelline membrane. So vitelline membrane is a plasma membrane of the egg. So here you can see the vitelline membrane. So this is the plasma membrane of the egg cell, but the plasma membrane is given with a different name, that is the vitelline membrane. So it is also known as a plasma membrane, and it is also named with the another different name, that is the vitelline membrane. And the functions of the plasma membrane is to control and exit of the substances. It functions in the control and exit of the substances, and similarly they only allow the some specific substances to inside. So it controls the passage of the substance across it. Okay, across this ovum. So complete the structure of the ovum. So this is the function of the vitelline membrane. So what about the next one, germinal vesicle. So this is the nucleus of the egg cell. Germinal vesicle is the nucleus of the egg cell and contains genetic material. It also contains the germinal vesicle is a nucleus of the egg cell and it contains some genetic material. And the egg does not contain any yolk, hence we can call it as a lecithal. Okay, so but instead of that it contains some granules of the glycogen and lipid globules. Okay, what is this lecithal egg? If you see in the human embryo, it connected to the mother and obtains some nutrition from the mother, and so the egg has a very negligible amount of the yolk. In the human egg, if we see, there is a very small amount of the yolk will be observed. So that is the lecithal type of an egg. And in this, because of the small amount of the yolk, what happens here? So whatever the nutrition is needed, whatever the nourishment is needed, so that all things is connected with the mother to the womb, and from through that reason the all the nutrition is going to supply from the placenta, from mother to womb, right? So the egg has a very negligible amount of the yolk. So this is about the lecithal type of egg. Okay, so the what is the next one is the germinal spot. So the germinal spot is a nucleolus of the egg cell. This is inside, you can see here the nucleolus of the egg cell is known as a germinal spot. Okay, what about the ooplasm? Ooplasm is also known as a cytoplasm of egg cell. Here you can see inside there is a cytoplasm. So this cytoplasm is also known as a ooplasm of the egg cell and supplies the nutrient to the growing embryo. This supplies nutrient for the growing embryo, and also it is a fluid filled inner ooplasm. Okay, and also contains some organelles like endoplasmic reticulum and ribosomes, mitochondria, and also some prominent Golgi apparatus also. And also there is some negligible amount of yolk is also surrounds the plasma membrane. Okay, so this is all about the structure of ovum. Okay, so hope you have understood the structure of ovum. So the next concept is the hormonal control of oogenesis. So how the hormones are functioning in the oogenesis process. Let us see that function. Okay. So in the hormonal function of oogenesis, so let us divide the menstrual function into two phases. This menstrual function is going to form into two parts. One is the before ovulation and another one is the after ovulation. So that before ovulation is known as the pre-ovulatory and after ovulation is known as the post-ovulatory. Okay, and the reason to have the we have make this thing should be because this different hormones are going to involve in this menstrual cycle have a slightly different functions, okay, in these two phases. So let us begin in before ovulation process, with the before ovulation process which all the hormones are playing important role in this. So now we'll see that in this process the three important organs are involved. One is the hypothalamus. From the hypothalamus, which is present in the brain, and anterior pituitary gland, and another one is the ovary, which is found at the pelvic region of the female reproductive system. Okay, so here the hypothalamus is releases special type of the hormone, that is the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, and this gonadotropin releasing hormone stimulates the pituitary gland, and which is going to release the two hormones, gonadotropin hormones, those are the LH and FSH. LH is known as the follicle stimulating hormone and FSH is known LH is a luteinizing hormone and FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone. These are the two gonadotropin hormone which are stimulated by the hypothalamus, okay, which are stimulated by the anterior pituitary, okay, and both these are moves down into the ovary and through the blood stream. These are the chemical messengers which are going to move through the blood streams and stimulates the follicles inside the ovary. So FSH and LHS are going to induces the development of the follicle cells, and but these two hormones are play very different ways, plays a very different ways as we see now in the movement. Okay, so let us see the follicles in the ovary. So if you see in the follicles in the ovary, so actually the development of the follicles are contains several important compounds. In the ovary, if you see that the follicle cells are having a, here are the some follicle cells, you can see here the growth of the follicle cells. The follicle cells are containing several important components are formed, and so let us take the look on the development of the egg cell, that we will see that it is surrounded with some developing some egg cells inside, and some granulosa cells are also developed, and also we will see some nutrition cells which is providing food, and two layers like the theca externa, thecal layer formation is observed inside the follicle cells. Okay, so in this what happens, the FSH hormone actually stimulates in the differentiation and the proliferation of the granulosa cells. Okay, so in this, if you see the structure of here the granulosa cells in the follicle cells, in this the FSH and which is a follicle stimulating hormone is stimulating, and also it is differentiating and differentiation in the proliferation function of the granulosa cells. It is playing very important role, while the same in the LH, that is luteinizing hormone, is also stimulates and differentiates, proliferates of the thecal cells. Okay. So, thecal cells we already shown in that structure of the Graafian follicle cell. The thecal cells are surrounded the outer layer of the follicle cells, the externa, theca externa and the theca interna, where the LH hormones are going to stimulate and proliferate that thecal cells. Okay. And what is these two cells do work and what is these two cells do? So, these two cells when together they form a hormone, that is the estrogen hormone. Okay. So, when these two cells are together, it is forming an estrogen hormone, and this estrogen, the thecal cells use in the estrogen, what happens, these thecal cells are going to use cholesterol and to form androgens, and okay, and then they release those androgens. Okay. What is the function of this LHS in the follicle cell? So, in the thecal cells, the LH hormones are going to stimulate, proliferation is also taking place in the thecal cells or by the LH, that is the luteinizing hormone, and these thecal cells are going to use that cholesterol to form androgens, and then those androgens are going to and then they are releasing those androgens. Okay. So, later what happens, those androgens are gives to the granulosa cells inside the follicle only, granulosa cells, and those granulosa cells are contains special type of an enzyme, okay, which are having capable to transferring the androgens which are produced by the thecal cells into an estrogen, right. How the estrogen is formed here? So, we can see here the LH is going to stimulate on the follicle cell. So, the follicle cell, that is luteinizing hormone, is going to stimulate on the thecal layer of the follicle cell, and then that thecal cell, when it when these two, then the thecal cells are use that cholesterol to form androgens, and also that and they releasing the androgens, and that androgen is giving rise to on the granulosa cells, and those granulosa cells are having special type of an enzymes, and these granulosa cells which are having a special type of an enzyme having a capable to transfer the androgens and produced by the thecal cells into an estrogen. Okay. So, now once they produce the estrogen, what happens? If once they produce the estrogen, they play very important role in the several very important role. The first one is it initiates the thickening of the endometrium wall. If you see here the structure of this, here the thickening of the endometrium wall, and this endometrium wall is going to thickens, it become thickens because of the secretion of the estrogen. Okay. And it helps in the preparation of the implantation by the zygote. When the ova is going to release out from the Graafian follicle through the help of the fimbriae, that here in the fimbriae region, through the help of the fimbriae, the ova is going to received by the fimbriae and going to transfer in the fallopian tube, and then that after the fertilization of that ovum, it undergoes with the developmental stage and forms the zygote, and that zygote is going to implant at the uterus wall, that is in the endometrium wall. For that purpose also this estrogen is going to play very important role. So, if the fertilization takes place, then and what the estrogen is fertilization is takes place, then the estrogen is playing a very important role in the function of that zygote implantation. Okay. So, and what estrogen also does, so this estrogen gives to a hypothalamus, and that feedback, that is the positive feedback. Here the estrogen is also giving a feedback for the, that is the positive feedback to the here you can see that how the positive and the negative feedbacks will be observed in that. So, here hypothalamus region where the gonadotrophin releasing hormone is secreted, and from that the pituitary is going to pituitary is going to release the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, and this follicle is stimulating hormone is helping in the follicular development and estrogen production. Luteinizing hormone is helping at the mid cycle of the hormone. It is going to surge and causes at the ovulation period. What happens at the follicular development, it is acting on the theca wall, cell wall, then it is forcing to, it is giving force to the thecal cell structure of the Graafian follicle, matured Graafian follicle at the stage of the mid cycle of the follicular cell development. At that period what happens, the rupture of the Graafian follicle is taking place, and then there is a LH surge is going to take place. Okay, and also this LH is maintaining the corpus luteum and stimulates the progesterone and estrogen production. Okay, so here we'll see that some positive feedback has given by the hypothalamus, which stimulates more gonadotrophin hormone. This stimulates, when it is taking a positive feedback, then it will secretes more gonadotrophin hormones and also the LH hormones, FSH, because it is stimulated with a positive level to the pituitary. Okay, and also the estrogen directly acts on the pituitary gland. So this estrogen is also directly acts on the pituitary gland. So here, and what happens here, as a result it releases more LH and the FSH hormones. In fact, increase in estrogens, it creates the surge in the LH. Just now we discussed that. So when the estrogen is directly connects with a pituitary gland, stimulates on the pituitary gland, then what happens here, the release of the LH and FSH hormones will be more and increases, and it creates the surge in the LH, surge in LH, that is the luteinizing hormone, at the mid cycle of the ovulation, at the 14th day of a menstrual cycle. So what happens next, still the hypothalamus rules the gonadotrophin hormone in the pituitary and also releases LH and FSH hormone more. Okay, now LH and FSH more. So this is all about the positive feedback, how it is taking place in the ovary, that is especially in the when it is in the pre-ovulation period. Okay, so when it reaches to the post-ovulation, then what happens? Now the LH does the post-ovulation and forms a corpus luteum. So after the ovulation what happens? The corpus luteum is going to form. So that follicle, to form the corpus luteum, the LH hormone is going to stimulate on the corpus luteum. Okay, so here you can see the how the LH is going to increase in the level, peak level, and in this at the mid cycle of the region, when it reaches to the mid cycle, the LH hormone increases, that time the ovulation is taking place. Okay, that is LH surge. Okay, and when the slowly what happens at the stage of the luteal phase, that is the corpus luteum formation, slowly the LH luteinizing hormone goes on, level will be goes on decreasing, and along with that FSH is also goes on decreasing. So what happens here, the next, the estrogen progesterone will be goes on increase at the same time. If you see, the progesterone and the estrogen level will be slightly increasing in this stage. Okay, so the here it is the estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so at this stage what happens, when the corpus luteum formation is taking place, so it the LH hormone stimulates the corpus luteum and also produces not only the estrogen, along with that another hormone is also there, that is the progesterone. So these two hormones will be going to increase at this stage, at the corpus luteum stage, when it is taking place in the post ovulation. Okay. So now the estrogen is going to initiate the development of the endometrium wall, okay, and the lining of the endometrium wall, but the progesterone actually maintains that thickening. Okay, what is the function of this estrogen here? It develops the endometrium wall at the same time, estrogen, and the progesterone is going to maintain that. Okay, if the estrogen is developing that endometrium wall, the progesterone is going to maintain that endometrium wall thickening. Okay, and also it does some basic process also, like inhibits the contraction of the muscle fat inside the uterus, and also it inhibits the secondary follicles. Okay, so when it reaches to the corpus luteum stage, here inside there is a secretion of the progesterone hormone is also taking place in the post ovulation. Okay, that is, in the post ovulation it creates some negative feedback that, look, basically the hypothalamus releases in the, basically if we see in the hypothalamic region, so there is a less secretion of the gonadotropin hormone is taking place, and LH, FSH, the stimulation is also getting less. Now what is the exact result of that? Because the negative feedback, look, we have LH and FSH less in the blood, and also here you can see because of the less secretion of the LH and FSH in the post ovulation function, so there will be in the gonado, which is secreted by the gonadotropin hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is very less. So at the negative point of view, at the negative feedback point of view, so here the secretion of the LH and FSH will be very less. Okay, so this is and it is secreted very less in the blood, and because the corpus luteum is needs some LH actually to exist the and degenerate or to deteriorate into a corpus albicans. Okay, so this is how the hormonal function is taking. If the less progesterone, and that basically ends the cycle of menstrual cycle. If the less progesterone is there, then it is going to end with a menstrual cycle, and the causes the process of menstruation as long as no fertilization occurs. Okay, so this is how the hormone control takes place in the oogenesis, that is before ovulation and after ovulation. You can see this diagram and understand that. So briefly I will go once again about this hormonal function on the oogenesis. This is the hypothalamic region where it is secreted the gonadotropin releasing hormone, and and then it is connected with an anterior pituitary where it's stimulating the hormones FSH and LH. Those are the gonadotropin hormones. FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone, LH is the luteinizing hormone. So if we go with the two types of the process in this, by differentiating into two forms, one is the pre-ovulatory and after one another one is the post-ovulatory. So in the pre-ovulatory, if you see, so there will be the FSH and the LHS secretion will be more increasing in the form, and estrogen and estrogen content is also increasing, secretion will also in the increasing form. Okay, so here you will see that the structure, how the follicular development is taking place in the pre-ovulatory function, the granular cells formation, granulosa cell membrane is going to form, and how the LH is going to rise or increase at the mid cycle peak of the LH, and when it increases at the mid cycle and reaches into the peak, then what happens, the rupture of the Graafian follicle is taking place. So and it triggers the ovulation where the releasing of the ovum is taking place. Okay, so because of the increasing secretion of the LH in the blood streams. Okay, and then what happens at the same time, if you see, the estrogen level is also increased. Okay, and if you see the same time the FSH is also increases, follicle stimulating is also slightly increased, and if you see the LH luteinizing hormone is more secreted and it is reached into a peak level. Okay, and if the next after the ovulation, if you see, this is the positive feedback how it is giving. So if you say the same thing in the post ovulatory, that it you will see that this part. So in this part if you see, there is a, after the ovulation you will see there is a there is a corpus luteum formation where the secretion of the progesterone and the estrogen is taking place. And also if you see here in the gonadotropin hormone, FSH and the LH level is completely decreased. So in the level, and where you will see there is no any secretion from the anterior pituitary gland. And the next if you see here in the blood streams, the progesterone hormone is goes on increasing in the formation. Okay, so and also along with the estrogen. Okay, so the less progesterone secretion, and that basically ends the cycle of menstrual cycle, and it causes the process of menstruation, and as long as there is no any fertilization is taking place. So this is how the hormonal control takes place in the oogenesis. Okay, so before the ovulation and after the ovulation. So we have to understand here clearly that the estrogen function is what is the estrogen here? Estrogen is helps in the initiates in the development of the endometrium lining, that is the thickening of the endometrium lining, and this progesterone is going to help in the maintenance of this endometrium lining. Okay, so these two hormones are playing very important role in the endometrium development. Okay, which that endometrium wall is going to help in the implantation process and the development of the embryo. Development of the embryo is taking place inside the womb. So that time this endometrium wall is giving a support support for the development of the embryo because of the secretion of these estrogen and progesterone hormone. Okay, and also secretion of the hormone.